Remember the time when you were listening to the 7th episode of Fresh Floppies? This is it.
What's up to all our sidekicks and henchfolk out there in the Geek Nation? You're currently tuning into the 7th episode of Fresh Floppies. Thank you for joining us. I'm Johnny Destructo of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex. And...
Hi, my name is Noel.
Yeah, there he is. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. I'm enjoying my fresh coffee to peer over these Fresh Floppies. Hey, whoa, what's a floppy?
I'll tell you what a floppy is. It is a monthly issue. It's the stuff that's on the shelves every week when you go into your local comic shop. And they call them floppies because they're floppy.
You know that thing where you're told to, like, hey, define something without using the word in the definition. You didn't do that.
Well, you didn't ask for that.
I asked for a definition. Fresh Floppy is a single issue comic book that comes out on the shelves on a weekly basis. It is a periodical, a magazine, a spinner rack special, not a graphic novel, not a collected edition.
That would have been a good name,
but a floppy. A spinner rack single.
Spinner rack special.
Special?
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's basically what I said. Thank you for joining us. We're going to be talking about today's books that were released at your local comic shop today without spoiling them, so you can feel free to listen to this on your way to your shop. For maybe a recommendation or two, we will list them from very fresh to barely fresh. We'll talk about the presentation, the story, the art, and we'll give you an overall opinion on it. What do you want to start with, my brother?
I feel like the discourse, the in the ether, it's all about a certain spider.
You are correct.
But let's double it up. Let's double up the spiders this week. But we'll start with one. I'm just like teeing it up. We're gonna double up the spiders. But okay. Yeah, I want you to start first with Spider-Man number 7.
Spider-Man number 7, a legacy numbering 163. This is Dan Slott's return to the Spider-Verse, literally, because this is the end of the Spider-Verse, so-called. And it's just more, if you like a lot of spider folks doing spidery things, this is the wrap-up to that. Moreland, if you remember Moreland from JMS's run from, God, how long ago was that? Was that 15 years ago? 20?
2005 to 7, 2004. I think 2004 to 7.
But the big hubbub with this, because no one's been talking about this book, honestly. The thing that has everyone's fancy is that Dan Slott tweeted about a month or two ago, hey, you're going to want to pick up this Spider-Man number 7. Big things are happening. Make sure you get the spoiler cover by Humberto Ramos.
To give baby boy Slotty some credit, I think it's been like 3 or 4 months. It's been a slow drumbeat of, I don't do this often, but listen, you're going to want to order this one. Yeah. This cover. Yeah. This one. And he's been just doing it a slow drumbeat, and then it's ramped up excessively in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
It's a great cover. It's by Humberto Ramos. It does feature a new character that we have not seen before. This is going to be tough because are we going to spoil who this is?
It's been out there for 2 weeks now, or a week now.
Okay.
A week or so now.
Yeah, and it's literally the first thing you see on the shelf because it's the cover of the book. We're introducing Spider-Boy.
Spider-Boy?
I won't reveal who he is, where he comes from. He is? I have no idea who he is. I was going
to say, there's nothing to reveal. Idea. This is it's just a new character, and I think they're gonna. I'm getting early Spider-Gwen vibes. Cool design, trying to make it really pop, so they're just pushing it a little bit, and maybe 5 years from now, these will all be very expensive comic books, and he'll be in a cartoon. But as of right now, we don't know who the hell he is.
No.
Have you been reading this series?
No, I read the first issue because I was like, "Oh, Dan Slott's back. Spider-Verse is back. Oh, wait a minute, I'm really bored of Spider-Verse, the comic books. Anyway, I'm very, very interested in Across the Spider-Verse film. Yeah. But I have not been reading this. I don't really care too much, even though I'm a huge Spider guy. But I thought, you know what? I got to read this one. There's a lot of hubbub, and it's fine. It's fine. They fight the big bad. There's a lot of Spider folks. The end.
You heard it here first, guys. You could skip 5 issues.
Yeah, you could 6 issues. This is number 7.
Yeah, but you read the first one. I was being accurate.
Yeah. And honestly, Spider-Boy is in 3 panels of this book.
Yeah, it's just an intro.
You do not get an origin story. You don't get anything about this guy other than he shows up, he says some stuff, and then he splits.
So when I heard about this book, not number 7, just this book in general, Spider-Man by Mark Bagley and Dan Slott, I did not think, oh, Dan Slott's back. I thought, oh, Dan Slott's done 40 years worth of Spider-Man comics. I don't know if I want to keep reading his. Because as much as I really enjoyed pieces of his run, it went on like 5 years too long. Mm-hmm. I got really bored with it. Mm-hmm. And then honestly, same with Bagley.
Yeah.
I'm not a giant fan. I've
never been a big Bagley fan.
I've never been a big fan. I tolerated is the shittiest way of saying that he did not bother me on Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah. He did the job.
Yeah, he did the job. It was good. It was fine. But it wasn't like fuck, I can't wait for those new Bagley pages. Yeah. If anything, I got really excited when Stuart Immonen took over.
I was literally going to drop Stuart Immonen into this.
David LaFuente.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, when they started rotating the artists, I was like, cool. You guys broke your record.
Yeah.
Switch it up.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. So I'm going to give this a pretty... gosh. What's between fresh enough and pretty fresh? It's pretty fresh enough. It's fine. If you're not reading this book, you don't need to grab this book. Mm-hmm. Unless you're one of those speculators who needs to grab a first appearance just because someone told you to, then you can do that. I know this variant cover is going for like $15, $20 on eBay already. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling that's going to die down as soon as everyone has a copy. Because
absolutely.
This variant cover is not, for anyone who doesn't know, there are variant covers that as a retailer, I have to order 50 copies of cover 1 in order to get cover 2. And then there's other variants where you can which I just call it alternates, where you can order as many as you want. So I actually ordered more of this variant for the shop than I did the main cover.
I think everybody did that.
So everyone's going to have a copy of this book.
I saw pictures on pictures online of larger stores like Midtown and Third Eye that are just standing in front of boxes and boxes and racks of this comic book.
What?
Yeah, it was fully orderable. So
yeah.
I mean, guys, I don't know if anybody understands how the speculator market works. It's just it's worth what people are willing to pay, and people are willing to pay more based on the limited quantities available in the market.
Yeah.
So if there are 5 million of these specific issues, they are not worth.
You know, it's gonna be funny.
Now,
the main cover.
I was going to say, I honestly
one.
think the main cover and one of the other variants that just don't have anything to do with it, like the Alex Ross variant or something, will probably end up in the long run having more value because they have a more limited run. Actually, if anything, the second print of this is going to probably be more expensive. Like there's they already announced print 2, and there's going to be some like ratio variants for that. It's likely going to, those are, if this character pops off like a Spider-Gwen, like a Miles, what's another like spider character like a Silk.
Yeah.
Then those ones are probably going to be a little bit more expensive, but that's I don't buy and sell comics often, so that's me pulling it out of my ass.
That sounds good. Yeah. I concur, Doctor. All right, so that's Spider-Man number 7. Also out this week, Amazing Spider-Man number 23,
awesome.
Legacy numbering 917, and I've got the lovely bright green Chris Pacello cover.
I have...
What do you got? Oh, geez.
The Disney 100 What If Mickey and His Friends Had to Save the Universe Amazing Spider-Man number 23 variant cover. It is... I don't know the artist.
I don't know who that is now.
It's a homage of Infinity Gauntlet number 1, but all of the characters are Disney characters. So it's Goofy as Spider-Man, Mickey as Doctor Strange, Pluto as Silver Surfer, Donald as Johnny Storm, which really fits. Captain America is Minnie Mouse, and Bluto in the middle is Thanos, and it's fucking delightful.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
I'm super excited about this.
I've done a bunch of these.
I wish they would have done a what's it called? A Spider-Man cover for the Spider-Man book? Maybe just like a
weird, dude.
Homage of a Spider-Man. Maybe like Mickey as Spider-Man holding Mary Jane or something. I don't know.
Last week there was another. What was it? Was it Amazing Spider? It was Spider-Man or Amazing Spider-Man, and they did another one of these Disney-fied versions, but it was for a first appearance of the Hulk.
That was okay. So I. Splitting hairs. That was a couple weeks ago. The one that came out last week was like Hulk, but it was New Avengers cover. The in shadow New Avengers #1
Oh.
cover look, but it was like Mickey as Iron Man, and
It just doesn't make any sense that what book they're pairing these with.
just align the title, because
if you're gonna do that for the Hulk, just put that on the Hulk book.
I don't think anybody was thinking like, oh, we just have no classic memorable Spider-Man covers to do an homage of.
Ridiculous. Anyway, and again, the paper is just as thin. The cover is just as thin as the interior paper.
Mine's thick.
Oh yeah, you got a thickie?
What's up,
Thick
variant?
boy?
It's slightly thicker, more but then
Did you read this?
I did. I
take it away.
this. So this is part 3 part 3 of this is the reveal arc, the big old reveal arc as to what happened. In the main title, there was a 1 year jump, and now this. For the last 2 years, or for the last year and change, they have been kind of just alluding to all of this terrible stuff that Parker decided to do, and how he ran afoul, and Mary Jane is not with him anymore. She's with this other dude who they have 2 children. If they're hers. I don't know. We don't know. So this is kind of the arc that's telling you what happened there. As we left off, Mary Jane is in another dimension where time goes slower with this other guy, and Peter is back in the real world. Understanding that he has a very limited amount of time to try and find a way back to her, because time moves much faster there.
Yep.
So obviously that is the obvious kind of ticking clock, literally, that's been introduced in this story to kind of show us as to how and why maybe Mary Jane is a little farther along in her acceptance of their separation than anything else in current
makes
time.
Sense. All of this makes sense as to why, first of all, the other heroes would be pissed at him, because they're all, 2 things happen at 2, like they call them WMDs, right, or something like that. 2 big explosions happen because of what was going on with Peter, and so the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, are all a little like, maybe you should calm down and talk to us and let us know what's going on. But Peter, realizing that he's on this short time limit, is just sort of like blasting through every conversation and be like, I don't have time. And he like runs away.
What I do appreciate that, so I'm sorry, we skipped it. This is written by Zeb Wells with art by John Romita Jr. What I do appreciate Zeb Wells doing, especially with that first interaction with the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Peter literally does explain to them everything that's going on and why he doesn't have time.
Yeah.
A lesser writer or a less thought through story would just have him barreling through people and never take the time to actually just at least attempt to explain.
Yeah.
So like Wells is literally like removing easy obstacles at first so they can get to the story, as opposed to powering through them and it just seeming nonsensical. My least favorite thing in all of comic books is when the conflict is
solved by a conversation.
Hinges on one person not spending 3 seconds saying something.
Yeah.
It's so fabricated, it's so shitty, and I don't like that. So I do appreciate him. He's not just like blindly pummeling his friends. I'm trying to talk to you. And then like with the Captain America bit, like, okay, but how long will that take? Well, 1 day, 2 day tops.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yep.
Yeah.
While they were away, he was away for a full week. And when he comes back, it has been only like
a couple
2
hours, right?
Yeah. So time really does escalate in the other place. And I do like the other fact that like he came, like there was an interdimensional happening. So that's why everyone's like, we want to make sure that you're actually Peter. We want to make sure that you're actually the guy we know, because there is a Spider-Verse.
Yeah, these protocols make absolute sense.
Yeah,
but it's
so everything in here works.
It is a very, very good conflict. And you know what? Mr. Junior.
Yeah.
Gets a lot of shit online. I thought this book was beautiful.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous book. I actually there's 2 panels in here that I tweeted out. You can see it on Twitter at CultPopGo. I specifically took photos of my comic to be like, this is cool. This is also cool. Way to go, JR.
Yeah. You could tell he's been around for a gajillion years. You could tell when he is enjoying himself and when he's just kind of
collecting a check.
Yeah. I really think he's enjoying himself, which I find fascinating considering he's worked on Spider-Man for like
so
a gajillion years.
Yeah.
I think that might be the difference between like a Bagley and Romita. I don't know.
He has worked on Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, on and off since the 80s.
His entire life. My entire life.
Yeah.
Your entire life.
Yeah.
Since you were born.
I give this a pretty fresh.
I give this a pretty fresh
Recommended.
also.
I think this has been a lot of fun. It's getting a lot of flack online just because people like to complain. But, man, I think this is a bucket of fun.
I'm super enjoying Amazing Spider-Man. So I think the last time that I have been... the last time I was reading monthly... I mean, bi-weekly at this point. Yeah. Spider-Man, I lasted for 28 issues. And then I just pieced out... this has potential to be the longest running weekly or monthly Spider-Man I'm reading.
I've been reading it nonstop since the 80s.
How are you not a more angry person?
Right? Because it's fiction.
No. I mean, like, you should be angry.
Oh, just, okay, for no reason.
Yeah, you should be an angry person.
I'll work on it.
It's a natural progression.
What's next?
I would like to talk about a little book. Issue number 2. Of a little book about a big problem called Adventures of Superman, John Kent.
By Tom Taylor with art by Clayton Henry. This follows up the previous run, just called Superman? What was that called?
Superman, Son of Kal-El.
That's what it was, yeah. And the final showdown with Ultraman and an injustice to be reckoned with. This actually surprised me. Even though I know what's supposed to be happening in this book because it tells me on the cover. When the thing happened in the book, I was like, "Oh shit! Okay, cool, nice." Yeah,
definitely. It's this was a this book is great.
Yeah.
I'm trying to collect my words about it because it's just such a well done book. There are some incredibly Superman-y things happening here. Everything from quiet conversations between like Lois and Jay, John's boyfriend, that are so incredibly Superman. But he does this thing, and it's one of my favorite things when it comes to just legacy characters in general. They'll take something that's very, very familiar with, the mythology of the character and recontextualize it. There's a scene in here where Lois and Jay are kind of talking through as to how do you deal with this when they go off on some mission and you may never see them again? And she just explains like this, like a very unhealthy coping mechanism she has. And at the end of the conversation, she just it kind of clicks for her, and she just says, "Tell him to promise you to come back."
Yeah.
Superman doesn't break promises. Mm-hmm. And then we see that play out, and it's just such an effective, good scene. John he's confident, but he's also dopey or earnest. So the way that he kind of plays it off and does his little like mic drop, I was like, this is so fucking good.
Yeah.
And then the action starts and it's so freaking effective. Yeah. And this book is wonderful. This is the best Superman book out. Period.
Oh, agreed.
Period. This is the best Superman book.
And so just to let the people know, John Kent used to be in a book called Super Sons. He was like 12 years old. He would hang out with Damian Wayne. And then because of Ultraman from Earth 3, he was imprisoned in a volcano, not allowed to leave, and grew up basically trapped in a prison. And that's how he got to be the age he is right now. Mm-hmm. And so this is dealing with that again. And so we're revisiting that trauma a little bit, which I quite like.
Yeah. He was tortured. And I mean, they make allusions to more than just torture at the hands of Ultraman.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you could read into it if you want to, but he had a little boy trapped in a volcano, powerless for years, and then makes allusions to maybe I'll keep you and play with you longer kind of shit. So like, it is a. I
mean, I wouldn't put it past Ultraman.
No, I wouldn't either. It is a really, really unsettling dynamic, and it's comes to a head here. It's and it's only issue 2. What the shit?
I did not expect this to happen so quickly.
Now this is a great book. Honestly, issue 1 is still available. If you are not reading this, you're stupid.
Yeah, very fresh.
Very fresh.
Very fresh.
The freshest as can be. It's literally still steaming. It's literally still steaming. What's the next book we're going to talk about?
I'll tell you, it's Planet of the Apes from Marvel Comics, 20th Century Studios imprint, apparently. Mm-hmm. And who's this by? Kev Walker? Or?
No, it's David F. Walker and David Wachter.
Yes, of the High Republic Star Wars books. I don't care about the original Planet of the Apes films. They never spoke to me. I don't care about the Tim Burton version.
Oh, and nobody does.
I kind of care about the new ones, the new trilogy. Is it trilogy or are there 4 now?
It's a trilogy, but there's another one coming
out, yeah. Those are good. And I walk out going, oh, that's way better than I expected. And then I never think about those movies again. Are you a Apes fan?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't own... Well, I do own some of them. The original 72 movies, I think they're cute. They're fun. The first one is genuinely good. If you can get over the the 1960s, 70s play actor... No, not the prosthetics. The play actors on movies. There was an era of Hollywood films where people were still acting for stage.
Oh!
There's no... Like if you can get over Charlton Heston doing his thing to the tilt, then that's fine.
Is that why he's like that? Okay.
I mean, that's why almost all actors are like that. They're stage actors that were put in front of cameras. The idea of subtlety and ticks and a camera being able to move in on your face is newer. Yeah, I mean, if you watch, it was on TV the other day. I didn't finish watching it, but like watching 10 Commandments now. First of all, the first thing you realize is like everyone's really white. Like they're Egyptians?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure, buddy.
But almost all the camera shots are mid one shot, like a play stage.
Yeah.
Camera doesn't really move around that much. I mean, it does in like wider shots or when it's doing something special effectsy, but no, like everything is usually pretty staged. Yeah. And everyone is just kind of 10 to 20% more emotive than they probably would be in any kind of realistic situation.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
But anyway, those movies have that kind of like flair. Mm-hmm. The first one's really good. The second one is like fine. Conquest I really liked because of the end. Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, which I think are...
You're on the new
friends.
trilogy now.
No.
Oh, this is the originals?
Yeah, which I think it was like 5 movies.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize they were that popular.
I think the Michelle Mission just is doing... Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, or just did Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. But that is the one that is set in air quotes modern times of the first group of apes that rebelled and like took over.
Yeah,
it's a pretty cool movie, and it's like a really dark ending. I liked it.
Oh, okay.
But the current trilogy, that's Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Sounds right. Yes.
War of the Planet of the Apes. Yeah. Rise with James Franco?
Yeah.
Yeah, James Franco and John Lithgow.
Yeah.
Saw it in the theater with no expectations. Really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like a meditation on how we treat animals. Mm-hmm. It was like a good movie. And then Matt Reeves came in and just blew it up.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, he did Dawn and War.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Gary Oldman being a badass, doing all like those were great movies.
I should revisit them.
I think you would dig them.
Yeah.
This comic, because I am going to talk about the comic now. Sorry about that. Is in line with that later trilogy, not with the original movies.
Right.
It is. It introduces a world into essentially a world in between the raindrops of those movies. You had the first movie, which was essentially just like the stage setting of this experimental drug to help with Alzheimer's being tested on illegally tested on apes to increase their intelligence, but then it evokes a flu, which they dubbed the simian flu. That they are all apes are immune to. So this book is structured very interestingly. We were talking about it off mic. It starts in 2015, the fictional 2015.
Yeah.
There is a group of soldiers in a commercial airliner with a bunch of cages of apes behind them, and they are transporting these apes and orangutans somewhere.
Yeah.
And then it goes back in time to 2013, and then 2012, and then 2011, and then like 2009? No, just 2011. It only goes back 5 years. And it's not until it comes back around that you realize you're following the main character they're introducing in reverse order.
Yeah.
So I thought it was actually really interesting. Like, they introduce her motivation for everything at the end of the book.
Yeah.
In reverse order. And then it loops back around and kind of shows you where the danger is going to come. But during this kind of structure, they introduce something that feels very realistic. So like the mainstream media dubs this flu the simian flu. Takes out like 40% of the population.
Yeah.
Doesn't actually come from simians, doesn't actually come from apes. However, because it was dubbed that, there are militias popping up across the country, across the world, that are liberally killing all apes.
Yep.
Period.
Just because of the name Simian
Just because
flu.
of the name Simian Flu.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Just because of the name Simian Flu, you've got these militias that are murdering all apes of any kind, despite the fact that any chance they have of potentially creating a vaccine is within those that are immune.
Yeah.
All apes.
Yeah.
So there seems to be factions of the U.S. military that still exists that are doing their best to protect and save any and all apes that they can, transferring them through hostile territories to sanctuaries, which I think is a really, really cool plot.
Yeah.
So I thought that this was pretty fresh. Mm-hmm. The writing was I really enjoyed the structure. It was a little bit more challenging, which I appreciated. I really like Dave Wachter's art.
It's very solid.
I do remember him on the Star Wars books, but I actually saw him first on the Heart of the Dragon, the Iron Fist.
Oh yeah.
The Iron Fist miniseries with the Larry Hama.
Yeah.
And it was really, really good.
Yeah.
So like he's one of those artists that's like I'm not picking up a Dave Wachter book.
Yeah.
But when I see him on there, I'm like, oh, cool.
Nice.
I feel the same way about like Kev Walker. Well, actually,
Kev
I will
Walker?
pick up a Kev Walker book now.
Yeah.
But previously, it was just like, oh, Kev Walker? Okay, I'll read that. This was a strong book for a property I didn't really think much of.
Yeah, it's another one of those things where I went in like just kind of like, well, I got to read something. So I guess I'll try this new number 1, Planet of the Apes. And then I went out of it being like, oh, that was better than I thought it was going to be. Even though I was a little bit like, why did we do the time jumps that way? But the way you described it makes sense to me. I was a little bit like, wait, what? Why are we going back 1 year every jump? What? It's strange. Yeah, this is actually quite good. I don't know if I'm going to stick with it. I don't know if I care about Planet of the Apes enough to read a comic book about it. But for what it is, I think it's pretty on point. And I did get emotionally invested or emotionally throttled by a scene towards the end of the book where we see the soldier that we meet in the beginning of the book and sort of her origin story.
Yeah, which honestly, it's on its own, it's a really effective scene. Mm-hmm. But I think it's 10 times more effective because of the way that the Davids, it's David F. Walker and Dave Wachter, the Davids, decided to structure the book.
Yes.
Because it was a slow roll and then all of a sudden a smack in the face or a punch in the gut. This was good. And honestly, as much as I liked this book, I also don't know if I'm going to read it in issues. I don't think I am. But really strong first outing.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Like when they announced that they were, when Marvel announced that they were, getting the Planet of the Apes license back, I didn't really care. Mm-hmm. This is cool, and I might, see how it goes. Maybe a couple issues from now, pick up a trade kind of thing. But I was pleasantly surprised. Any fans of the movies, I think will love this.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think if you're
this.
A fan of the Apes, this is for you, definitely.
And having read, this new
well done.
this new 20th Century Studios imprint, I read that it's going to be on the Alien books, the Predator books, and the Planet of the Apes books. Maybe there'll be a crossover at some point. I don't know. But of them all, I think this, because I've sampled all those books, I think this is the strongest first issue.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. Of Alien and Predator. As much as I really like Predator with the Kev Walker's art, this is a stronger book. This is a much more contemplative book.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with all of that. I will say that the 20th Century Studios, I think, detracts from the book. I think people would be more inclined to read a book with Marvel on the upper left than they are 20th Century Studios. There's a very tiny Marvel on the lower right that is gray on black, barely see it. But I think people are more likely to pick up. This looks like an indie book because of that logo work.
Adversely, is that such a bad thing? Like those that consider Marvel to just be the superheroes, maybe this is a little bit more on the down low about, those movies.
Maybe.
Cool.
Maybe. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe we will see. Maybe we'll see, and the world will weep.
Got one last book?
I do have one last book. This was a blind purchase, which is not the right way to say it because my eyes were open.
Yeah. You looked at it. You flipped through it.
I looked at it and I was like, okay. This is a book that came out this week from Vault Comics, written by John Lees with art by George Cambadasis. Oh my God. Cambadasis and Adam Cahoon. It's called The Nasty. The cover is really fun. It's a video store with a video store with a big ol' Jason Voorhees looking guy jumping out of a poster.
Yeah.
So I wasn't exactly sure what I was getting into. I loved this book.
Oh wow.
I loved this book.
Oh, I love that.
I
love that you loved it.
Art is okay, but the story is delightful. So we're introduced to a young man who, 6 years old, sees his first horror movie on television in the afternoon, and it's a Jason Voorhees type character called Red Ennis. Huh. And his mom comes home and he's trying to explain to his mom very excitedly, Red Ennis did this and he did this and oh my God, he did this. And she's just like, just go outside. Go outside and play. Get out of my face. So he goes outside and he meets Red Ennis that's hiding in a bush. And he says, do you want to be friends with me? And he, grunts. Aww. And then they go and become friends. And then there is a, what do they call it? A montage of Red Ennis as a part of his...
A montage!
As a sorry, there's a montage of I don't think I did it right, but whatever. Here, you do it for me. There's followed by a brief montage of Red Ennis as a part of his life for the next 12 years.
Aww.
So you've got him blowing out candles with him at a birthday party, going to school, helping him with bullies. Like, it is best friends.
That's awesome.
Cut to 12 years later. Oh, by the way, this is 1982 and then 1994.
In Scotland.
In Glasgow. Cut to 12 years later. He's out in uni. He still lives at home. His best friend's video store is in danger of being shut down because they're not making any money. So they're going out of their way to track down all of the video nasties. Those that don't know what video nasties is in the late 80s, early 90s, the British government?
Yes.
The British government...
You're correct.
Claimed that a bunch of different titles and movies and horror movies were pornographic, obscene, declining humans and making them murderers. Like movies and films that were films that were so bad that they made us all awful people, and they dubbed them the video nasties. They banned them in certain countries. So you've got this group of kids in 1994 that are looking for as many video nasties as they can. And then you've got the one main character with an imaginary friend that is this Red Ennis. I keep trying to say
Garth Ennis.
It's Garth Ennis. My imaginary friend is Garth Ennis. So then it kind of like goes from there as to what's real, what's not real, the video nasties kind of stuff. And then they come across a tape that's maybe more than just a movie. So this is a shit ton of setup.
Yeah.
But it's so fun.
Oh, I'm in.
It's so specific too. It's like just the first chunk of this book alone of your imaginary friend being an axe murderer or a mass murderer that's like the size of a truck would be funny.
Yeah.
But then it gets into the kind of like early to mid 90s pastiche of video stores and horror movies and no internet to track things down, like kind of like that real collector fun.
Yeah.
And then it gets into almost like The Ring style weird supernatural stuff. It's a lot of book, but it's just laid out so well. I this was fun.
Yeah, I am the audience for this. I will definitely read this.
Cambadasis. Now that I see it, so like I was reading off the first page, and there's like a fake poster crease in the middle of his name. Sorry, It's Lee Combadias and Kehun.
The cover is great. I love the image of him, inside, coming out of a horror movie poster to attack the video store clerk.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And then, did you see the cover for issue 2? Also
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, coming out of the theater. Yeah,
so great.
So this is I notoriously to people in my normal life. I used to not like horror comics.
Yeah. I remember.
I still don't know if I do. So, it has to be a very specific type of horror comic. Mm-hmm. Like I love Maniac of New York. I'm really enjoying Justin Jordan's The Harrower. Mm-hmm. This is great. Where Monsters Lie is great. It's horror movies or horror comics that play with the medium, but horror comics that just are horror that are self-serious. Mm-hmm. I don't enjoy.
Gotcha.
I don't really enjoy Gideon Falls. I don't really enjoy just because it's so dark and grim. I want that aesthetic on film. I want that aesthetic with music. I want that aesthetic with, in motion, not necessarily something that is effective for me when I read it.
Yeah, agreed.
But this is it's member berries and jokes. It's not jokey, but it knows what it is. It's very
referential?
Yeah, self-referential. I was going to say self-aggrandizing, but that's not correct. Yeah.
It's more in the Scream category of horror films than it would be in Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas I wouldn't be interested in reading a Texas Chainsaw Massacre comic book.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm definitely going to be checking that out. The Nasty from Vault Comics.
I'm putting this on my pull list, baby. This is great.
Is that the end? Did we do it?
I think that's. Did you just have a British accent?
Sorry, that was an accident.
No.
Sometimes that happens. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Just it should come out.
People always yell at me.
Be free.
They tease me because when people come into my shop, I go, hey guys, is there anything I can help you find? And that little lilt at the end there, everyone's like, why are you doing an accent? I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just, listen, that's just how my voice works.
Is there anything I can help you find?
Governor! What are you doing?
Oh, I'm just here to help you read.
Thank you so much for joining us. Also, join us tonight where we'll be live streaming from Manny Young Studios, the podcast, the CultPop podcast on YouTube and Facebook tonight because of Easter, which is coming up this Sunday. Mm-hmm. We had the brilliant idea to talk about our favorite resurrections in comics media.
Yeah, because Jesus came back, so why not fiction? The idea of what's your favorite in-story resurrection? What's your favorite publishing resurrection of sorts? Like a relaunched book or something. So, I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, if you have anything you would like to ask us before the show tonight, email us at cultpopgo@gmail.com, or just email us about this show and ask us about comics, because we like talking about that stuff. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we will talk at you later.
Do.
Thank you for listening to the Cult Pop Network, home to podcasts, live shows, and a whole lot of fun stuff for every flavor of fan. Follow us wherever you find your favorite podcasts, and be sure to join us live every Wednesday night at youtube.com/CultPopGo at 8 p.m. Eastern. While you're there, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you'll know when we drop new Thunder Rounds and episodes of Fresh Floppies, a spoiler-free show about single-issue comics released each week. Until then, we'll talk at you later.